There is a moment before the world sees your creativity. Your ideas confined must be freed. The journey ahead is precious, and the work will be demanding. Your words bemusing. Confusing. Coffee is your ignition. Your ideas the ammo. And the smoking gun, the evidence of your commitment to the creative journey, will be your execution. Oh, fuck.
I want you to guess what time of day it is. Morning, afternoon, or evening. If you guess morning or afternoon, then you're wrong. See, look.
It's the 300D.
It is currently 8 o'clock at night, and I've got 2 back-to-back shoot days starting tomorrow. So I've got a list of things to do. 1, clean the studio, because the studio is always a mess. 2, make a packing list. It's always good to be prepared the night before your shoot. And 3, I'm making this YouTube video. Multitasking God. No, I'm not what I promise. If this is here, then I wouldn't worry about it. So I made that little intro video for this video because lately I've been trash at completing my creative ideas. Wait, did I say creating or executing? I've been good at having creative ideas. I've been horrible at executing those creative ideas. That's what I meant to say. I just genuinely can't get out of the ideation phase. It's almost like I'm chasing a high. Like in my mind, it's like one creative idea after the next. So I keep chasing that like serotonin hit until eventually I have just a bunch of ideas all sitting on my notes app or in Google Drive with nowhere to go. Today's video is about just holding myself accountable, getting out of just the ideas funk. You can relate, can't you? I think a lot of this all boils down to just kind of like a business idea that I learned back when I was starting my first business. My business partner and I had a lot of relational issues. I don't know if that's the right word. I really don't want to use that word, but essentially we were just very different people. It's not an issue. That's just being in a relationship with somebody. You see, we were just both very different people with extremely different things that motivated us. And this is true for anybody. If you're working alongside of somebody, the more you work with them, the more you realize how different you are and how you've got to channel your energies in different ways. Not everyone's the same. Duh. You know, and that actually, yeah, that actually reminds me of something. So here it is. It's a book called Rocket Fuel, and it's essentially this idea that like there's 2 different personality types that should be at the head of a business or should be running a business, and like the more they work together and integrate together, the more it's like rocket fuel and the ship explodes into the air. I don't know, it's business jargon, honestly. But the 2 types of people were visionaries and integrators. Now, before we go any further, I don't love putting labels on people like that because I feel like it gives us a false sense of like responsibility to those roles, and they can also make us like stubborn and hard-headed, like this is who I am, this is what I do, and so you can't correct me, you can't come at me. But for the sake of this video, I did think it was important to talk about. So, you know, grain of salt kind of thing. Any Futurama fans out there? No? What about Limoncello LaCroix fans? Limoncello LaCroix, Limoncello LaCroix. That's hard to say. Say it 3 times fast. Limoncello LaCroix, Limoncello LaCroix. Not gonna happen. Back to the book really quick, because I do think that the labels can be helpful in terms of identifying some maybe traits that you might have or some things that you unconsciously, subconsciously do. So yeah, I'm not gonna write this book off completely. The two titles that were in the book were this: Visionary and Integrator. Again, I feel like small business owners just really feel good about themselves, that they're willing to call themselves visionaries. But regardless, that's what they called it in the book, so bear with me. Visionaries are great starters. They're great ideas people. They're really good at inspiring people, getting them excited, getting them ready to march out the door. Let's go and crush this project. Let's make this thing. Let's start this Kickstarter. Let's be creative. Let's go all in together. But visionaries aren't very good at finishing or following through. That's a problem. And so in the book, they talk about you need an integrator, someone who maybe isn't the best ideas person in the world, who maybe isn't really very creative, but they're very good at just executing. It's literally like a creative department and a project manager come together. The creative department wants to make this amazing art. The project manager just wants to get the job done. Now that I know these things about myself, I can adjust, calibrate, realize my strengths, and also own and be okay with my weaknesses. The titles that we give ourselves, creative, visionary, integrator, manager, whatever it may be, they're not indictments. They're not free passes to only focus on our strengths, and they're not death sentences to only dwell on our shortcomings. So if you're a creative out there who's feeling discouraged by your inability to execute on your creative ideas, or a creative who can execute but can't ideate, just know you're not alone. Maybe you should go find each other, and we're in this together. Look, if you're interested in the book, I'll put a link down below. And if you want to be less lonely on your creative journey, then I'd recommend you subscribe to this channel. Drop a comment, leave a like, just engage and join me so we can be creative together. I'm getting a little sweaty because this light's really strong and it's very warm. So I'm gonna go. Until the next one, here's to being less lonely. Thanks for being here.